Hi, greetings from Canada. I would like to talk about Manny Pacquiao, his past and his present, and in relation to his fight with Errol Spence. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm just gonna shorten it out as much as possible. Manny Pacquiao started off with a career in boxing, and he didn't have this high quality skills with him. He brought along his huge hands and his relentlessness, and of course his size. I'm gonna tell it to you later why. Okay, about his size. And for now, I'm gonna tell you that Manny Pacquiao was born with a very huge hands and wrists. It is the equivalent of a sledgehammer in comparison to a hammer. Wherein a hammer, you need to use your biceps and triceps strength and shoulders and arms to hit the object hard with the use of a hammer. With the use of a sledgehammer, the hammer itself is the power because of the weight. So you hit the object with a sledgehammer and you don't need to use a lot of force on your triceps, biceps, and your shoulders. So that is his asset. He's got huge hands, so it serves like a sledgehammer. And we're going to go to his size. He's really huge for a Filipino boxer. I could remember that during those times, uh, later on, after he grew up, but during those times, I could remember that his brother, Bobby Pacquiao, has to fight baby Lorona Jr. 5 times because they don't have any other people to fight with because those times they were the heavyweights of Filipino boxing. So Manny Pacquiao is a huge Filipino boxer. He's not a small one. And people would say, well, he needs to put some weights on his pants so that he could qualify to be a professional or for some reasons, whatever fight it was, because he was small. No, he was not small. He was light. A typical teenager. So a typical teenager is always light. So he is light, but he is not small. He is huge. So that is a great advantage on him. Having huge hands and being huge himself to fight smaller guys. So I could remember during those times in Blow by Blow, he has fought a lot of smaller guys. So that was his advantage. And skill wise, he was not really that good. He even admitted that he failed the city tryouts in his city, General Santos City, and he has to go to another city to be on the city team because the other city is not known for their boxers. They're not their boxers are not that high level compared to the city where he come from. And when he went to Manila, he tried out for uh, for a Philippine team and he failed even because he admitted he doesn't have any skills compared to other Filipino boxers. He was a brawler. So that was his asset, his huge hands and his size. And after he met, I'm just gonna shorten this out. So after he met Freddie Roach trained him uh, into a better skilled fighter. And then Freddie Roach invented the Manila Ice, making his right hand stronger. But actually, he is born as a righty. He is a he is a he is a converted southpaw. As most Filipino boxers, a lot of them are converted southpaws because of uh, the the lead hand is the power hand. And not only that, Filipinos are converted southpaws. Uh, Manny Pacquiao's first influence is Bruce Lee, which is all. Bruce Lee is also a converted southpaw. So that being said, his first international success is with Ledwaba. It's just that he's. I think he's kind of lucky on in terms of his career because nobody knows his style. Ledwaba wasn't able to adjust to his style, although Ledwaba was a masterclass boxer, and Ledwaba got power himself. So that's the first the first success he got internationally. But before that, he had a lot of Asian uh, exposure as well. Japan and Southeast Asia. And Lidwaba is like confused of how he does things, Manny Pacquiao. But his style is very common to the Philippine boxing. Southpaw, aggressive. It's very common. It's not new. But internationally, especially in in the United States, or Western, or probably Africa, where Ledwaba come from, the style of Manny Pacquiao is totally different. But it's common. It's common, and when you see it in Asian boxing, it's common because usually in Asian boxing, the martial arts and boxing are combined. So specifically, the martial art uh, influence of the country itself. So the country itself, especially the Philippines, has its own martial arts, which is Kali Eskrima or Arnis or whatever, and also a lot of influences from Japanese art, karate, and Korean martial arts like Taekwondo and Chinese martial arts, Kung Fu, whatever. So there is a lot of influence on the Filipino boxing scene. So imagine Manny Pacquiao. His first influence is Bruce Lee, which is who is a martial artist and who was also a good amateur boxer, and he was probably the first internationally recognized mixed martial artist. So Manny Pacquiao, his style is so different. So of course, if you're different, it's hard to predict. And then later on, as he progressed, uh, Freddie Roach sees that this guy is not a lefty; he's a righty. So I might as well. For some reasons, he developed his left hand better than his right hand, although he is born right-handed for some reasons. So probably Rhodes concluded, oh, I'm gonna make his right hand again the way it should be. Like he should be a righty, but for some reasons he became a lefty. I'm gonna make his right hand as good as his left hand. So they did accomplish that. Freddie Roach accomplished that well, and then both of them, both of them exchange ideas how to utilize the angles that Manny can bring in boxing. Uh, a southpaw and aggressive, uh, and added into it, Manny Pacquiao's hobby is basketball. So basketball is a very good sport for for balance and for explosiveness. It's the best sport uh, for for a boxer to have, uh, adding to his own uh, skills already. So boxing gives explosiveness, or rather, basketball gives explosiveness to boxing. Uh, the first big guy whom Manny Pacquiao fought was Oscar De La Hoya. So they developed more on his lower body skills, so that he could move around. Now the thing about uh, this video is that although I gave you some previous talk about Manny Pacquiao, about how he does with boxing, uh, I'm gonna tell you guys, Manny Pacquiao, as good as he is, as great as he will become, he's not a perfect boxer. And I haven't seen a perfect boxer yet. Uh, and Manny Pacquiao has flaws. No, not really flaws. I would rather say some some skills that he didn't have in his career. Okay, so as he progressed as a boxer, he his style is like a southpaw, coming in, darting his way in, going out, and it's the best style for a southpaw fighting an orthodox. If you would have time to watch other videos about boxers fighting southpaws, you would always see that a smaller guy would win over the other guy if they're both uh, in opposite stance. You could see it a lot. Like, it's always the mover, the smaller mover, not necessarily the faster, but the mover on the opposite stance wins the fight, unless it's controversial. Like when Pernell fought Oscar De La Hoya, it was controversial for me, but I see that Pernell won the fight. He was the mover, not necessarily the faster, probably a little bit faster. He was the mover, but both are in opposite angles. If you would also want to watch Dorin versus Spadafora beat Floyd Mayweather in a sparring, but that's just sparring, okay? But you could see that Spadafora is really a slick one, and Dorin, no, not beat him, but it was a draw. But for me, Dorin won that fight, and Dorin was not even like a very good. He was a good boxer, but he's not really that good when when you compare it to Spadafora. But because he was a mover and a smaller fighter, Spadafora was a lefty and he is a right-handed, but he was the one who moves around. I think he won that fight, even though it was a draw. So in history, you would always see that a smaller fighter with the opposite stance, who is a mover, always win the fight, or if not win the fight, he would always give problems to the other guy. Like for instance, when Agapito Sanchez fought Manny Pacquiao. Okay, setting aside the rough housing of Agapito Sanchez, Manny Pacquiao had a hard time with him. He was the smaller guy and the mover with an opposite stance. So Manny Pacquiao is the one causing problems with the bigger guys because he was the smaller guy, he was the mover and all those stuff, faster with power. So it's not totally uh, a mystery for me. Why is Manny Pacquiao small and then he wins the fight? It's just that it's when I am Manny Pacquiao, I'm seeing this guy who is opposite stance. I could see a big target, and I'm a mover, and I have power, and when I get in, I I'm gonna hurt him. But when in relation to this fight with Spence, there was a big problem. Spence is not a southpaw. I mean, sorry, is not unorthodox. Both of them are southpaws. So, Manny Pacquiao's style is on the edge now. It's not totally applicable to him, to Spence. Manny Pacquiao might be faster, might be stronger, but because of the size of Spence and because Spence is also a a southpaw, that Manny Pacquiao style is not applicable to Spence. Now, what is applicable to Spence in order for you to beat Spence? Duran's style is best for Spence, for Manny Pacquiao. As exhibited in Duran versus Iron Barkley. Iron Barkley is the bigger guy, the younger guy, but Duran has the skills in clinching. He can pull off big punches on the inside while clinching, using his head. So Manny Pacquiao doesn't have it. We all know, when did we ever see Manny Pacquiao fighting in the inside? When? You see great fighters know how to fight in the inside, like Duran, like Tony, like Henry Armstrong. They fight in the inside. While Manny Pacquiao, when it comes to inside fighting, he usually hugs and grabs and wait for the referee to come in and then set them apart, and then he does his thing. But he doesn't know how to fight on the inside. So that's a big problem because he has to fight in the inside right now. He doesn't have the big opportunity to hug more often because this guy is bigger. This guy is bigger and is also a southpaw. So every time he will try to get in to hug, Spence will give him a couple of big shots. And imagine, in 3 minutes time per round, how many couple of big shots he will get before hugging. And they will hug. They will really hug because they have the same stance. And he doesn't know how to fight that way, Manny Pacquiao. If he pulls off fighting inside, I'm gonna say he's the GOAT.